As Arkansas's population grows, so do our energy demands. But with the right mix of resources, reliable, affordable power will always be a reality. These resources are all around us in our rivers, blowing through our trees, even right below our feet. The answer isn't focusing on one resource, it's embracing them all. The electric cooperatives of Arkansas know that a balanced approach to power builds our communities and powers our dreams. Visit themixmatters.com and see why there's power in knowledge.
George Makris, first of all, congratulations. Another bank deal for Simmons Bank, Delta Trust and Bank this time, $66 million. Why is that bank acquisition, why is that a good fit for Simmons?
Roby, thanks, first of all. We're awfully excited about that. You know, in Central Arkansas with the Metropolitan purchase, we picked up a great retail franchise. What Delta brings to the table are the other lines of business that maybe Metropolitan didn't specialize in, like trust, investments, insurance. So now we really do have a complete line of well-established and well-respected financial services. So they really complemented each other. And the real long-term benefit to us is now we have an insurance agency, we have a broker-dealer operation, and we have a footprint all throughout Arkansas and outside of Arkansas where we can roll out these products successfully because we have that base now.
And you didn't have a large footprint of branches necessarily with the Delta Trust acquisition as well, which has some advantages too, right?
That's correct. We picked up 4 branches in South Arkansas, which we like. That's one of our leading markets in Lake Village and the Dumas area, and now we're in Hamburg and Wilmot and Parkdale and Eudora. We love the farming business, and that's right in the heart of it. We picked up 3 locations in Little Rock. One of those will probably be consolidated, but we picked up a very nice location on Highway 10, sort of the premier Delta location. And then we picked up some locations in Northwest Arkansas, and quite honestly, we had closed a Bella Vista branch because it was just a deposit gathering location. Well, we're picking up a Bella Vista branch that has a full service range of products through Delta. And we love the market, we just weren't doing very well there. So we're excited about what we're picking up.
Tell me about the kind of the anatomy of an acquisition. When you come in and look at and the Metropolitan deal and the Delta Trust deal were 2 very, very different types of acquisition opportunities. But when you're looking at potential acquisitions, what are you looking at? What are the metrics that make sense for you? Obviously, there's some things that kind of complement or fill out a portfolio for you, but what are you looking at in terms of the numbers?
Well, in my past life, market share was pretty important. And I would tell you in the banking business, it's important also. So what we have to take a look at, first of all, is our strategy. Where do we want to grow, and what product lines do we need to grow? So I'll take you back a couple of years to our FDIC acquisitions. We got to look at a lot of opportunities, and we passed on most of them because they just didn't fit in our strategy. The ones that we were successful on are in great markets. We've got St. Louis, Springfield, Kansas City, Wichita, Salina, and Sedalia are the main locations in that footprint. All of those are great areas that we'd like to grow into. So from a strategy standpoint, those new markets made sense to us. In Central Arkansas, obviously our share was not where we wanted it to be. So as we take a look at acquisitions, it is to build our franchise in those growth markets. Now, that doesn't mean that the only thing we're interested in is growth markets. I mentioned earlier that we love the agri-business. So we would be very interested in agri-specific banks if they ever became available. But here's what's sort of happening in the M&A business. There are a lot of private banks that are just tired of what's going on in the industry today.
Regulatory primarily.
Primarily, that was sort of the icing on the cake. In many cases, we see private banks that have aging management and not a real good succession plan. We see boards of directors who are the shareholders in those banks who have just written checks to capitalize the growth of that bank throughout their tenure as owners. Well, instead of writing checks, they're starting to get interested in receiving checks. I mean, they're at that point in their life. So they're not willing to recapitalize the bank to allow it to continue to grow. So management that may not have a great succession plan, boards who have changed their focus for their wealth, and regulatory fatigue are the three main drivers of a lot of the M&A activity we see today.
And you know, it makes me sad that I didn't think to get into the sign business a few years ago so that I could capitalize on all these changes with these bank signs. So
That's right.
Should have got in that. Maybe I could talk to you about a loan for starting a new business.
Absolutely. We'd be glad to talk to you about that. You know, speaking of signs, James Stovall, who is now with Simmons, was in Pine Bluff at National Bank of Commerce along with several other top-notch Arkansas bankers. He's the one that invited me to come on their board several years ago. And we went through the NBC, Worthen, Boatman's, Nations Bank, finally Bank of America transition, and it did seem like we were changing signs about every other month.